Hello. So on this video, we're going to be going over how to use the speedgrader function in bio courses. So right now I'm in the course that I used for the previous video on how to add assignments. So if we're in the home page, if we go to assignments, we should see the assignment that we did last time. Okay, we set up assignment written homework 1. Now what you want to do is, once the due date has passed, and for all of the written homeworks, the due date is going to be on Friday. Okay, so usually starting on Saturday or whenever you decide to grade, what you want to do is you're going to go to the assignment that you have to grade. Okay, so usually there's going to be more than one here. Just click on the one that you're grading as of now. If you click on that, you're going to see that a menu comes up here. Okay. Now, this assignment that I have right now doesn't have any actual submissions. But if there are actual submissions, it'll give you other options here, like download submissions and stuff like that. You only need to worry about the speedgrader function. Okay, so if you click on speedgrader, you're going to be sent to this area like this. Okay, now this big white area is where the submissions should be. Okay, so this is where most of your work is going to be. However, like I said, for this assignment, since I'm in a class that has no students that have submitted anything, then I can't really do anything with this part. So what I'm going to show you is how to work with the right-hand part. So you see that there's this vertical gray dividing line. Then you have this right-hand side here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you how this works. It's pretty straightforward, and this is the last thing you want to do. And then I'll go to another of my courses. I'll crop out this area to the right of the vertical line just to keep the students' names anonymous. And I'll show you how to work with the left-hand side. And again, there should be more options here, which you can't see because there's no submission. But here on the right-hand side, once you've worked with everything on the left-hand side, which again, I'll show you how to do in a moment, once you know what the grade is, and again, you should know after you go over all of the assignment, and you put whatever the grade is. Let's say they got a 9 out of 12. You click on a 9, and then you can click outside, and it'll save their grade. Okay, now let me delete this here, these comments, so you see how they look like without any of them. Okay. Now, if you want to add any additional comments, you can do it here. Now, I say, since we're adding comments when we're grading the homework on this left-hand side here, I usually save this comment box for general comments. So let's say, for example, that the students scanned their work and it looked a little bit blurry. So here I would write a comment like that, like, it was very hard to grade your homework, since it was blurry. Next time, please make sure to check your homework after you scan it and before you submit it to make sure that everything is legible. So that's a sort of general comment that you want to use this box here for. Something similar, let's say that their handwriting is too small, I could add again a comment here saying it's really hard to read it's very hard to read or to grade your homework because of the size of the handwriting. So if you could please either increase your handwriting or maybe zoom in before you submit your homework, then that would be nice. You know, general comments like that are not specific to a specific problem in the homework or a specific part of the problem. So once you write a comment, say that's a comment that I want, you click on submit, and it's going to show that you submitted the comment, what the comment is, who submitted it, and at what time and date. Now, when students see their homework, like they'll access this homework again, and they'll be able to see the grade, this comment here, and also any comments that you make on the left-hand side. If a student wants to reply on a homework, they'll also have a similar box like this. Let's say they want to reply to this comment, they could say something like this. You know, they should obviously say something more specific, but then students can reply. So let's say if a student replied, it would show the same thing, but it would say that it was a student and at what time and date they replied. Okay. So students usually don't see these comments. That's why I save it mostly for general things. Even though when they access, they should see them. A lot of times they miss it. So I wouldn't expect any reply from comments here. But again, if it's general things, I would still write them here because they should at least glance at it. Okay. And that's basically what the right-hand side does in terms of things you have to put in. Once you've done grading everything on the left-hand side, put in the actual grade and any comments, general comments. Now here on the top, you can see there's a sort of menu. You have the name of the student that you're grading. You have the average so far. So in this case, there's only one submission that I've graded. So they got a 9 out of 12, so the average is 75. But in general, if you've graded, let's say, 15 out of 20 submissions, it'll give you the average grade based on those 15 submissions that you've graded. Here it tells you how many you've graded out of how many you have to grade. And then here it's just how many you have to, how many submissions there are out of the total number of submissions. Okay. So that's what these numbers are. If you want to move from student to student, you can just click on these arrows here, and you'll move to the next student. So, like that. That's basically everything you need to know about this, at least this right-hand part. So now let me stop the recording. I'll move to another course, and I'll show you how this left-hand side works. Okay, hello. So I've moved to another of my courses where I actually have submissions. So as you can see, I cropped out the right-hand side, the menu that we talked about a couple moments ago. So now I'm going to show you how this menu works on the left-hand side. And this is basically where you're going to be spending most of your time when you're grading. So first of all, when a student submits an assignment, it's going to look like, it's going to be a PDF file and it's going to be scanned. It's going to probably look something like this. Okay. Now, there's a couple of things here that you're going to need to use. And basically, it's just whatever's on the top right here. So first, if there's a couple pages, you can either scroll through the pages or you can just click on this here. It's going to send you through each of the pages in the homework assignment. It also might happen, even though I'll tell students that they have to submit all of their work in the right orientation, it might happen that they submit things by mistake, like rotate it like counterclockwise or clockwise 90 degrees or something like that. So you can change that by, it will make it easier for you by rotating whatever page you're working on. And notice that this only rotates whatever page you're on. Let's say that only page 1 is out of, was submitted in the wrong orientation, then you just click on this until it's in the right orientation. That's going to make it a lot easier to grade instead of trying to read things horizontally, for example. Sometimes also because they're scanning, it might be that the font is very small after they scanned it, for maybe based on the properties that they were using. So that's something, again, that you can mention in the comments, in the general comment area for them to improve. But if that's the case, you can use the zoom feature here. It'll let you zoom in and also zoom out if you have to zoom out. Okay. Finally, if you want to put things full screen, you can click on this button here. You can then click on escape to exit the full screen. And those are basically like sort of quality of life features that you have here to help with the grading be a little bit easier. Now here are the actual grading tools that you're going to be using. Now I really only use 2 of these tools, and those are the two I'm going to talk about, and another tool that I'm planning on using. All of the other ones, I'm just going to tell you what they are, and then you can figure out how to use them if you want to use them. So the first one is just a select button. As for example, if I'm in one of the grading tools, this adds text, and I want to go back to just selecting things, and I click on this arrow here. And I'll show you in a little bit how this works. Okay? This here is point annotation. I haven't really used it, but I'm guessing that, yeah, you click, it'll just be a click on somewhere, it'll point there, and pop up a comment where you can, put some sort of comment. I don't really use this because I just use something similar that's a box annotation, which is a little bit more convenient than this. So let me just delete these things, right? And if you ever have to delete anything, just go back to the select button, select whatever thing you want to delete, and you'll see that this trash can icon appears. Just click on it, ask you if you want to delete the annotation, click on OK. And same here. So that's an example of where I might want to use select. If I was doing annotations like this, I want to select one to delete it, I click on this icon here, click on it, and then delete. Okay. This one is a highlighter. This one here, I don't know exactly how it works. I tried to use it a moment ago, and I wasn't able to highlight anything. So if you figure out how it works, feel free to use it. But again, I've never used it before. Now this is the tool that I use almost the most. It's the second most that I use. And this basically what it does is it creates a text box in the area that, so let's say I want to create a text box here and add some text, right to the right of this equation. So I click on text, I click on the color. I usually use either blue or black, so let's say I use blue. And then you can assign a background. I usually use the default, no background. And then finally you can assign the font. Now let me use the small font because you're going to see that sometimes you have to change the font. So it'll default to the smallest font. Then click anywhere once you've selected all of this. Click anywhere, and you'll be able to write text in there. So notice that the text is very small. So let me delete this, go to the size, increase the size, and try again. Okay, now it looks better. So here I could include a comment, something like, nice work with this formula, something like that. And when the student, and then you click anywhere outside of the paper, you know that you're outside of the paper or grading area if you see this, the mouse symbol or the select symbol appear on your mouse again. And then it saves the comment. When students go back into the assignment and see your comments, they'll be able to see this comment here. Right? So it's very nice. I use this every so often. Let's say if they missed something, so let's say they missed part of the work, I would write something like this. I could do something like, where's the rest of the work? Now, something like that. Click outside, and it's going to save the comment. This one here is a strikeout annotation. Again, I haven't used it before. You're free to figure out how it works. This one here is a free draw annotation. This one is going to be very useful if you're working on grading on a tablet and you have a stylus. The reason why I haven't used it yet is because I usually grade on a computer. However, one thing that is very difficult and kind of bad for us graders in terms of the speed grader is that there's no option as of now to add equations. Right? So what happens if I want to write something that involves a complicated equation? Well, I can't really do that with the tools that I have as of now. However, if I'm using a stylus and a tablet, I can just click here, click on the, again, whatever color that I want. Say I want green. Oops, sorry, that actually, I still had this box selected. So if you see it change the font, the color here to green. Let me change it to blue, then click on, let's see, click again on free draw. Yeah, so now I'm free drawing, okay. So again, this is gonna be useful if you're using a stylus and you wanna write a complicated formula, then you can use this, right? It's very easy. You just write, let's say, sine of 3t minus 5. Again, with the mouse and keyboard, very difficult. But again, if you're using a stylus, this is very good. And in fact, this is the way I would recommend that you do grading. Okay? Using a stylus and a tablet. Again, you don't have to. And again, I don't do it because my tablet that I have is not very good. But if you do have a tablet that works nicely, just do comments like this. If you ever want to write down a formula in the comment, just do it. And if you see, kind of like with the point annotation, you get this area here. And you get this part here where you can add a comment if you click on this. So you can say something like, this is the correct form. Something like that. And every time you add a drawing or a free draw annotation, you're going to get a box like that appears. You can click on this, and then you can add a comment. You click outside, and it will save it. Now, if you only want to delete the comment and not delete the actual formula or thing that you drew, you click on the actual comment and click on this trash can here. And if you notice, it won't delete the formula, it will just delete the comment. If you want to delete everything, both the picture and the comment, then click on the actual picture. You can use the select button to make it easier. Click on the trash can icon, and it will delete both the picture and the comment. Okay. So again, I don't use this much because I don't have a tablet. If you do, I would recommend that you use it. It's going to make your life easier because you'll be able to give better feedback. Okay, now let me delete this thing here. Now, the feature that I use the most is actually the last feature. This is called the area annotation. Right? So what this does is you can select an area, right? You can box that area, and then it again, like with the free annotation or the point annotation, it creates this comment area where I can add a comment. So maybe this integral is not correct. I could do something like, this should be the integral of x, something like that. So let's say of t. So again, this is nice because you can focus on a specific part and you can add a comment for that specific area. And again, when a student is seeing over their homework that you graded, they'll see both the box and the corresponding comment. So this is the feature that I use the most. Okay, so this should be t squared. Now notice that I do include sometimes mathematical formulas, but I keep them very simple. Like a power like this, usually this symbol here, everyone understands that means exponent. So if a student is reading this, they'll understand that this is t squared. Right? Here, they'll know that this is the variable t. Or you could write an equation like x plus 3 equals 4. You know, things like that are easy to do. However, if you want to put in integrals and stuff like that, I would just shy away from that because, again, there's no real easy way to edit those into these comments, and it's just going to confuse students. So I would stay with adding general comments like this. So let me give you another example. Let's say here, let's say that this should be parentheses instead of absolute values. You can highlight that area. You can click, this should be parentheses, right? And this is enough, this is a good enough comment because I will also be uploading solutions, right? So if they really want to know what is the correct solution, they can go and look at the solution. So the point of the grading, at least what I want it to be, is you going over and giving feedback that's going to help them improve for the next homework. Right, so for example, if they forgot, let's say the student didn't, but let's say they forgot, let's see, let me give you an example. Where are they integrating? Yeah, so here, let's say they forgot to write the dy. You could just do something like, you forgot the differential. You could write something like that. Again, I'm not telling them what the differential is. I'm just telling them that they forgot to include it. If they really want to know what they should have done, what the correct differential is, they can go look at the solutions. However, this is enough for them to realize, okay, I did something wrong. I forgot to put in the differential. What should that differential be? You know, so it's kind of like pointing them in the right direction. Okay? So that's the idea with these area annotations. And this is usually how I add comments. Okay? And again, this is the feature that I use the most. You can change the color of the box as well. Right? So you can go to this left menu here and change the color of the box. Now, let me delete all of these comments that I added so I can show you actual comments that I made for this submission. So again, let me delete all of these. And again, it's easier if you click on the select button first before you start clicking on everything. So I should have done that before. Okay, so I delete everything. Let me show you actual comments that I wrote in this student's submission. Right. So here is one. They wrote that this was another solution, but it was actually the same solution that they wrote above. So I used the box annotation, highlighted that area, and just wrote that as the comment. This is the same solution if you write it in terms of y. But you need to try something else to find the second solution. Trial and error is a good approach, and that's what I wanted them to do in this homework. So notice I don't give them what the solution is. I just tell them this is not right. I explain why it's not right, and I tell them something that they should have done better. Now notice that I also, if I'm following the rubric, I'll usually also put how many points I'm taking off here. Okay, so let's say this was worth, a second solution was worth 1 point. The student didn't find it, so I write in parentheses that I subtracted 1 point. You don't have to do it like this. Just make sure that that students understand that you're subtracting points and how many you're subtracting if you're doing something like this. Where is there another comment? Yeah, so here there's another comment. They were supposed, so I didn't make it explicit that they had to solve for P in this equation. So if you notice, I didn't take points off. However, I did highlight the area with the box annotation and wrote that you can solve for P explicitly here. Again, just feedback so that they can improve their submissions for the next homework. And same with this comment here. I don't tell them what's the right answer. I just tell them that they're assuming something that they can't assume, and that it would have helped to write, to do what I told them to do in this part, right, to solve for P, to be able to actually answer this part of the problem. Right? So again, general comments like this that just lead them in the right direction are good enough, again, because we're giving them the actual solutions. So this is what I expect from you. Again, if you want to write more comments, write in more feedback, you're free to do that. But at least I expect that you go through all of their homework, highlight any things that they did wrong, give general feedback comments like this, and that should be good. And if they committed the same mistake a bunch of times, you don't have to highlight it every time. You can just highlight it once or twice and say, this problem shows up all over the place. And you can actually add it as a general comment on the right-hand side, right, the part that I cropped out. So to summarize, the 3 main features that you're going to use are, unless you try the other features that I usually don't use, are going to be the text option, the free draw option if you're using a tablet, and the box annotation option. Again, once everything is done, you'll know what their grade is. You'll go to the right-hand side, put in their grade, put in any general comments, and then submit. And then just move on to the next assignment. So that's it for the speed grading. If you have any questions, let me know.